I'm Shireen with Olive Street Designs. We're going to make over this dresser set. I picked this up on Facebook Marketplace because I love the design. I love the beading on the front. And it's showing some signs of wear, and there's some gouges in it. There are several drawers that don't close all the way because the hardware's broken on the drawers. But overall, these are in great shape, and time to just get rid of this dark and dreary finish. So I start by taking off all of the hardware. I'm happy now that I have a cordless screwdriver because it makes quick work of this. Get everything all cleaned up. Going in with 120 grit on my orbital to do all of the flat surfaces first. I think the orbital is just a little faster than my Surfprep. I could do it with both. I put a pad on the Surfprep to do everything that's rounded, and between the two of them, that covers everything. I'm taking out all the drawers, and as I take them out, I'm sure to number them. And now we're looking at, oh yes, a lot of these are broken or missing. And I found all kinds of little pieces, which is a clue. There's a bunch of broken stuff and another little gift that I needed gloves for because I'm not touching that. But I did find somebody's key to their diary. Wonder if they're missing that. So yeah, there they go, off to the garbage. And then these are the pieces that will get replaced on all of the drawer guides. This goes on the back of the drawer. This goes on the guide itself. These are easy to purchase on Amazon. This has a limited space, so I'm using a right angle drill extension to remove the screws. That little piece just pops right in there. Put the screw back in and it's good to go. So I had to replace, I think I replaced 5 or 6 of them. I'm also noticing that this little, I guess it's just something the drawer sits on. I don't know what to call it, but it's another plastic guide there. It was missing, so it makes the drawer not sit right in its space. You got to replace that. Now that I have all the drawers out, I've finished getting the frame all sanded and cleaned. Get the dust out of there. Time to get these cleaned up. So I'm using a microfiber towel that just has water on it because I cleaned it before I started, so now I'm just cleaning everything. Now I'm just dusting everything. And I'm definitely changing the hardware, and I'm just trying to figure out placement, how I want it. Once I get that figured out, time to fill in the old hardware holes. So I'm using Bondo here. I have a little Bondo spreader, and what I like to do with the Bondo is actually push it into the hole. I scrape it off, I push it in, because I want to fill the entire space and not just this thin little barrier on top. I want it to fill the whole entire hole. And because I have so many drawers, there's 8 in the dresser and then 4 nightstand drawers. So I have 12 drawers, all these holes. I mix Bondo in batches. So my first batch will get me through 4 or 5 drawers. I'll go mix some more and then just keep going. Okay, now back to some just wood filler. This is my favorite. It's actually called a premium wood filler. I just like how it dries down more so than the typical brown wood filler. But I'm just covering any little dings or nicks and scratches that didn't sand out. Now I'm taking my sander and sanding down the Bondo just to make everything nice and smooth. Drawers going back in. Time for some new hardware. First, I'm measuring how far from the edge I want my new hardware to go. And then I'm setting up my hardware jig. I'm also going to be setting it for how far down the drawer I want. And of course, I want these in the center. And then I'm just going to make an indentation so I know where to drill my holes. I have a little screwdriver that I was putting in there that makes the indentation. If you don't have a hardware jig, you need one. I set this up one time and it did all of the holes. Rather than having to tape off and measure every single drawer, this really ensures that they're all in the same spot and straight. So I was just double checking my spacing to make sure that what I drilled on the very first one was going to work. I set up a large spray tent because I'm going to spray all 3 pieces at one time. And here they are, all ready for their transformation. I'm going to start with my primer. I'm using Sticks primer. It's tinted in gray. It looks white when it goes on, but you'll see, because I'm painting these white, you'll see the contrast in a moment. I get a lot of questions about gray primer, especially when I'm using white paint. And when I'm covering dark stain that I've sanded and it's all uneven, gray stain just really evens everything out and gives me a nice clean palette to get started with any color. Okay, and I'm sanding using a sanding sponge. Is about 300 grit. I'm sanding everything down smooth after the primer has dried. This is going to help with that buttery smooth finish. Time to get the paint ready. I'm using Farmhouse Evolution in organic white. Just a beautiful creamy white. This is an amazing all-in-one paint. That's my favorite. I'm going to be spraying these pieces, and I do dilute my paint. I also diluted the primer. I probably use about an ounce, 1 to 2 ounces with every maybe 10 ounces of paint. Now you really can see the contrast of the gray primer, but this paint's going to go on nice and even. You just don't get the blotchy coming through. My favorite combination, just the gray primer with, and I use it really with everything. And I love this sprayer. It just goes on nice and smooth. This is a Wagner Flexio 5000. Well, now that everything's dry, the first coat is dry, I'm taking all the drawers out, and I'm going to go clean up all these edges where the drawers come over the top of this area of the cabinet. You'll see there. And I'm just going to go in and clean all that up because it gets missed by the sprayer, of course. I just have a little poly brush and my little can of paint, so I'm just going to paint all those areas, and after it's dry, the drawers will go back in and I'll continue painting. No, the drawers don't stick. I do get a lot of questions about that as well. Drawers don't stick at all, but it does keep the inside of my cabinet nice and clean. It keeps paint off of the drawer guides. And while I have all the drawers out, I also touch up the bottom of the drawers because that's an area that the sprayer has a hard time getting to. I did another coat of paint, and this is top coat. Let's take a look back at where we started, and this is where we are. I think it's a huge transformation, changing out the hardware, a nice clean, crisp white. I'm super happy with how these turned out. I love the detail beading. The gold hardware just went perfectly with this set. Now they're all nice and cleaned up and ready for a new home. Thanks for watching. Follow for more.